The Osogbo War of 1840 changed everything for Yorubaland. It was the fight that stopped Ilorin's expansion, lifted spirits, and confirmed Ibadan as the dominant power. History remembers the names, the strategy, and the people who lived and died. Before I continue, please hit that subscribe button, like, and share this video with your loved ones. Thank you. Now, let's dive in. By the early 1800s, the old Oyo Empire was collapsing. Internal strife, palace revolts, and rebellious chiefs pulled Oyo apart. Ilorin, once a loyal vassal town under Oyo, began to grow more powerful. Under leaders like Malam Alamai, also called Shehu Alamai, and later his son Abdul Salami Dan Sali Alamai, Ilorin allied itself with the Sokoto Caliphate. It became a Fulani emirate, embracing Islam and adopting the military strength of the northern jihads. The Ilorin emirate sacked Old Oyo, Katunga, in about 1835, striking a devastating blow to the Yoruba. Without Old Oyo, the heart of Yoruba unity collapsed. Ilorin's ambition did not stop there. The Fulani leadership, under commanders such as Balogun Ali, sometimes called the Hausa Balogun Ali, wanted to push deeper. They had already taken Ilorin itself from Oyo, but now they sought to capture key Yoruba towns, dominate trade routes, and spread their political and religious control. One of the towns in their sights was Osogbo. Osogbo at that time was no sleepy settlement. It was strategically placed, a hub connecting Yoruba towns like Ibadan, Ife, Ilesa, and Ekiti. It was also a refuge for people fleeing wars and Fulani raids. Its walls and the nearby Ocean River offered some protection, but it lacked the strength of cavalry, which Ilorin forces relied on. Horses ruled the open plains, but Osogbo's edge was in its forests, rough terrain, and defensive walls. When Ilorin marched toward Osogbo around 1840, the chiefs of the town knew they were in trouble. The Ilorin army was strong, with horsemen feared across the region. The defenders of Osogbo called for help. They knew if Osogbo fell, the Fulani forces would have a clear path deeper into Yorubaland. Ibadan answered. At this time, Ibadan was still a young city, formed after the collapse of Oyo, but it had already become a gathering point for warriors. Men who once served the Oyo army had found new life in Ibadan. They were tough, disciplined, and eager to prove themselves. At first, Ibadan sent auxiliary forces under commanders Abil, also known as Mabatan, and Aleda Bimpagun. They fought bravely, holding positions inside Osogbo. But the Ilorin army kept pressing. The pressure was too much. The auxiliaries could not turn the tide. Recognizing the seriousness of the situation, Ibadan sent reinforcements under Balogun Oderinlo, one of their most respected military leaders. Oderinlo was a seasoned strategist. He knew the strength of Ilorin lay in its cavalry, but he also knew cavalry could be neutralized. Horses needed space, clear ground, and sunlight. He decided that Ibadan would not meet Ilorin on open ground. Instead, he planned a night attack. Oderinlo organized the forces carefully. The defenders of Osogbo and the earlier auxiliaries were placed in the center. Chiefs Abatiko and Labuju were assigned to command the right wing. Oderinlo himself took command of the left wing with other Ibadan war leaders. To prevent confusion in the dark, Ibadan warriors agreed on a secret password. It was simple but effective, ELONIOO Odo? How much is the ferry fare? If a warrior could not respond correctly, he was an enemy. As evening fell, the warriors prepared. Scouts moved through the forest, listening for spies. The city grew tense. Women prayed, children hid. Everyone waited. By midnight, Ibadan forces slipped out quietly, moving through the bush toward the Ilorin camp. The Ilorin army, confident after earlier advances, had relaxed. Many were asleep. Horses were tethered, their riders unprepared. Suddenly, Ibadan struck. The night exploded with fire and sound. The Ibadan warriors stormed the Ilorin camp, setting fires, shouting war cries, and cutting down soldiers as they scrambled awake. The Fulani cavalry tried to respond, but darkness was their enemy. Horses stumbled in the confusion. Warriors who managed to mount were quickly dragged down. In the chaos, Ibadan's password system kept their ranks organized. Whenever dust or darkness made it hard to see, warriors shouted the phrase, and the correct response told them friend from foe. The surprise was devastating. Balogun Ajakobi and Balogun Lateju, two Yoruba chiefs who had thrown their lot in with Ilorin, were captured. They were executed as traitors. Elise, another leader of the Ilorin contingent, was killed in the fight. Balogun Ali, the main commander, barely escaped with some followers. By dawn, the once proud Ilorin army was broken. The battlefield was covered in bodies. Horses lay dead beside their riders. Weapons were scattered everywhere. The mighty cavalry had been defeated not by equal cavalry, but by strategy, discipline, and courage. Osogbo stood. Its people survived. But more than that, the entire Yoruba nation breathed a sigh of relief. The Fulani advance had been checked. The fear that Yorubaland would be overrun eased, at least for a time. The victory proved that Ilorin's forces were not invincible. For Ibadan, this was a turning point. The city's name now carried weight across Yorubaland. Towns looked to Ibadan for protection and leadership. Ibadan would go on to dominate Yoruba politics and warfare throughout the 19th century. Leaders like Oderinlo became legendary, their names tied forever to the salvation of Yorubaland. The consequences of the battle reached far beyond Osogbo. Without that victory, Ilorin might have swept into Ife, Ilesa, Ekiti, and beyond. The political map of Yorubaland would have been very different. Instead, Ibadan's star rose, and Ilorin's southern expansion was stalled. The Osogbo War is remembered not only for its violence but also for its lessons. It showed the value of intelligence and planning. It showed the cost of betrayal, as chiefs like Ajakobi and Lateju paid with their lives. And it showed that unity, even among scattered Yoruba towns, could resist outside domination. The battle also left marks on culture and memory. Osogbo continued to grow as a town of refuge. Songs, stories, and oral histories preserved the memory of that night. The tale of the password, the sudden fires, the screams in the dark, all became part of Yoruba storytelling. The war also foreshadowed the conflicts to come. Ibadan, now the dominant force, would play a central role in later wars, including the long and bloody Kiriji War. But it was at Osogbo that Ibadan's power was truly born. The Osogbo War of 1840 is not just a chapter in a history book. It is a turning point that decided the future of an entire people. It was the moment Yorubaland's survival hung in the balance and was saved by courage, unity, and the will to resist. That is the story of how Ibadan saved Osogbo, and with it, Yorubaland, from Fulani invasion.